Warning. This story includes materials that are classified your ears only due to disturbing content. Other times we are quite silly and really just a hoot. Unless you are cleared for graphic depictions of sex, violence, or dirty words, this never happened. We were never here. It should go without saying that this is not intended for kids, but we're still saying it for their sake and for yours. We don't always play nice. You've been warned.
You've been sent here to locate the hostile personality. Manifestation of the subject's repressed urges. We use a special property of the fissure beneath Blue City, called the Lacuna, to erase these urges, and...
You deserved it.
Everyone is briefed before our mission.
Let's say, hypothetically, you had orders to do something you think is incredibly dangerous and stupid.
But you forgot most of it.
Static. That's about all we know.
You sound lost, Agent. Strange events, meetings with specific personalities, and the like are referred to as escalations.
Yes, it's bad.
Like a chess game.
Static is bad. That's what static is.
Unfortunately, we're not sure what the pieces do or how to play in any meaningful capacity.
Badness.
Things can get out of hand fast.
I will make your life intolerably painful.
The conflict. Some kind of ongoing war.
Blue City is beautiful,
Embedded spies.
in the way noir films and dusty cathedrals are beautiful.
A series of
Even
bombings.
the most colorful things are drab and pasty.
It stays that way.
The sky above,
Passers-by are dressed formally in styles decades behind the times.
Citizens avoid talking about the Spider-Man.
even the cutting edge of fashion here comprises old suits and dresses that
Once they're on you, there's no shaking them.
haven't been seen since 1985.
Either you dispatch of the HP, or you eject before you end up dead.
Mission 2, Bad Medicine. Subject, Hermietta Stahl. Age, 40. Status, incarcerated. Released to the company for... Text omitted.
Crime, first-degree murder.
2 counts manslaughter. Poisoning. Occupation, pharmacy technician.
Barker traces the other side of the building, looking for any additional exits. He calls to Seals. Haven't found anything this side. Anything over there? I want to make sure the HP doesn't get any bright ideas. One of us will have to go see Shields soon, too, he says, taking out his watch and glancing at it. Seals calls out, there's something back here you might want to see, his drawl almost painfully evident with the extra effort he puts into his voice. I dunno what the heck it is, but you might. He keeps poking at the ichor with the cardboard. The sheath of dripping ooze covers a strand of flesh that leads deep from within the hole in the wall to the trash cans. What the crap? A tentacle? Seals takes a step back from the wall and drops the cardboard. He puts his hands in his pockets, grimacing in confusion as he stares at the disturbing length of flesh. Barker, you better hurry up, he calls out, trying not to sound too freaked out. Barker jogs up behind Seals. What is it? What the? He looks at the flesh and crouches down, studying it. He follows it to the trash cans and moves them out of the way, trying to get a better look at it. He checks the watch. The watch indicates that whatever it measures has yet to change again. Otherwise, the strip of slightly pulsing flesh terminates somewhere beneath those trash cans, a long, wet umbilical cord connecting it in some strange manner to the hole in the wall. Barker furrows his brow and hesitates a moment. Careful, Seals. He leans forward and grabs a can. I hope you know what you're doing, Seals says, gritting his teeth in anticipation as he shifts his weight a bit, preparing himself to run or fight, or perhaps just crap himself when Barker uncovers whatever they're looking for. Tucker shakes some of the goop off himself. Help me up, would you? I'm covered in this shit. What the? Barker rushes to try to help Tucker up. What happened? How did you end up out here? Seals looks around nervously, and probably more importantly, where is the HP? Despite his good humor, Agent Tucker appears to be ill. Barker tips his hat up in surprise and tilts his head confusedly. Tucker? What happened? Where's the HP? Barker kneels down to check Tucker out, looking for any wounds, scraping some gunk off. You don't look so good, man, Seals says. He looks warily at the fleshy cord running into the wall. Still jumpy about the oozing ichor on the cord, Seals briefly searches the alleyway for any sort of wrapping he can use for his hand. An old newspaper or bath towel, maybe, and failing that, he just tears a piece of cloth out of one of the arms of the shirt under his jacket. He walks over to the spot where the cord is coming out of the wall, using the hand wrap to grab it and give it a tug. The cord detaches somewhere in the vicinity of Agent Tucker, loose now and issuing unhealthy-looking fluids like a low-pressure hose, pulsing in Seals' hand. It pours bloody gray liquid for half a second before it reduces to a drip.
Excerpt from Lucid Dreams, A Traveler's Guide. The Alice Effect. Dreams exist in a state of constant feedback with the dreamer. The perceptions of the dreamer confirm the very form and nature of dream stuff, ensuring its uninterrupted existence. When that feedback system fails, the dreamer is lost in their own subconscious. It takes a great deal of effort to return to the same place again after this. When this happens in the safely padded confines of one's own mind, there is little danger. But the same cannot be said of places outside the dreamer's mind. Possible triggers of the Alice effect. Anything that drastically breaks your concentration or skews how you perceive your surroundings. Examples: experiencing strong emotions, tumbling down a hill, entering a thick mist, talking to people who aren't there, standing on your head too long, changing too much of your environment at one time, changing yourself too drastically, like a giant dragon, a puddle of goo, or a cartoon character, covering your ears, closing your eyes and yelling, la la la, reaching for that door you keep seeing in the corner of your eye, moving so fast that everything blurs.
Dying.
Looking at the world through the bottom of a glass. Walking through walls.
The woman is unmoved by Tucker's goading. Nearly paralyzed, her lips move slowly, barely parting with the words. "You must be the doctor," she says, flat-faced and slumping. "What's the matter? Can't read it in the file? Is there something more you want from me? What are we supposed to be doing here?" Tucker says, "Do I look like a doctor to you? I'd rather hear it from you. I don't trust the file. Would you? As for what we're doing here, I just want to get to know you. No harm there, right? Let's start with something basic. Why are we here? You're a pharmacist. You have a home. Those are places you could be. But instead, we're here. So why the cafe? Why the back room of a cafe?" The subject says, "No harm, no, but I'm not sure why." What is this place?
Mrs. Place. I woke up here. It was like this was where I was supposed to be. People came to me for things. I remember it like a dream. They kept asking me, no, begging me for more. I tried to tell them it was too much, but they kept coming to me. They trusted me.
Her chin tucks in, skin sagging about her neck as her spine seems to slowly turn to jelly.
I've studied this kind of stuff. It starts with reality tests. Flip the lights on and off. Try to read something. Pinch yourself to test your pain responses. That sort of thing. You get so used to them, you do them automatically. One day, you do it offhandedly. You notice, hey, that's not right. And there you are. Well, here I am.
Her flesh seems almost a puddle. It's like a balloon being slowly deflated beneath her clothing.
You're my subconscious. You should be telling me why I'm here.
A hint of something indistinct
shifts on the wall
behind the incoherent frame of
Hermietta
stall. Tucker idly drums his fingers. You're no fun, you know. Guess I'm no fun either. Lucid dreaming really screws
up this whole pretend boundary between me
and you. So here's the deal. You need to understand why you really do what you do, why you think what you think, and come to terms with it. Now, don't tell me that you already have, because we both know better than that, and we wouldn't be here if you had. I can't give you the answers. We know that. I have them, but you have to come to them on your own. So, where would you like to start? Anything on your mind lately? And yeah, this is a pain in the ass, but don't try avoiding it. I control your waking at least as much as you do, and we'll do this every night until you resolve it. So tell me, what's going on in there? Tucker pays extremely close attention to everything, focusing his senses to be everywhere at once.
I guess that's what you're here for, she burbles. So why the hell not? I'm here because I'm a people watcher. Home's a jail cell. I don't dream about that place. And I don't work at a hospital anymore. It's too bad. I liked working at the hospital. Everyone was always doing something, and I was always needed. I never had a great life. My parents weren't cruel, just cold. And distant. I was a consolation prize for my boyfriends, you know, attainable. Nobody likes being a second choice. Nothing I ever did was special to anyone. A pile of flabby, flaccid flesh shifts about in a seat. I made people sick. It was funny how they kept coming back to me, apologizing as they dry heaved, their teeth and hair slowly falling out. They said I was always so nice, so understanding. When I ran out of boyfriends, I started picking strangers. You're right, I'm a coward. But I'm not sorry. I might get reincarnated as an amoeba,
or an
intestinal parasite, for what I've done. I might even feel guilty sometimes, but I'm not sorry. The human puddle would shrug if it could. I was going to see a very special flower today. Is it too late? Will rehabilitation hurt? Maybe I'm a little sorry. But killing was the only meaningful thing I've ever done. With his keen senses, Tucker's now aware of the large hole carved into Stahl's seat.
A rough tunnel too small for anything of human dimensions to fit through. A single strand of flesh meets somewhere beneath the mass that was Stahl, controlling it like a puppet.
Open the chakras, one by one, like pressure valves. When the vibrations begin, embrace them from head to toe, shaking out of the body. Float off, attached only by your silver cord.
Tucker tries not to react as he makes his observation, continuing his questioning instead. Can't hurt. This is a dream after all. I don't see why we can't go see the flower. Why is the flower special, and where will we find it?
I'm not sure. I've dreamt about it before. It makes a kind of mathematical sense as it blossoms, rather like gold foil paper than a flower, really. There's a special room somewhere, but I can't seem to find it. Can you really help me? I didn't think you were here to help me. The prison psychiatrists seem to help themselves more than anything. Figured it was case closed with me. Anyways, why should they start caring now?
I guess we're about to find out. Can you tell me anything about this special room? What did it look like? What was inside it? What could you see if you looked out at doors or windows? Tucker continues.
Eggshell blue walls, daylight pouring from the skylight above, a cold white tile floor with bits of dirt on it. The door was locked, but somehow I got in. Somebody was there, waiting for me, threatening to drop me into the bottomless pit to erase me.
Tucker gets up and stands by the door, waiting. Well, it's not much to go on, but it's a start. Let's get started.
Didn't you come here to do something? Asked the pile of clothes and skin. I'm sorry, but I can't risk.
A sigh, or maybe a fart rises in it.
Have to use something of yours.
Dirty trick I'm playing. Forgive me. Hard.
Talking with two brains at once. I hope you're still help me after this.
Tucker slowly progresses from a smirk to a smile to a full-out maniacal grin. Yes, Harmietta, I am here to do something, and I do believe I've done it. I have used something of mine. If you want my help, tell me about this dirty trick you're playing, and tell me where that cord goes. It doesn't look very silver to me. Otherwise, I must take my leave. Well, it's Her body deflates suddenly, slipping off the seat to hit the ground with a wet plop. It's difficult to tell whether this was what the she/it meant to do, or if this might be an involuntary reaction. The cord leading out of the mess that was Hermiota's stall stiffens as the rest of the liquid animating it runs out en masse. Tucker shrugs, surprised and pleased with himself that he got as much out of it as he did. Also quite happy that he didn't waste his device on whatever it was. Probably wasn't the HP. He exits the back room and goes to look for Barker. He guesses that the stack hasn't increased as a result of his little exchange, but at least he has new leads.
Tucker's fellow agents do not appear to be in the cafe, which is full of sick patrons. Tucker scans the crowd for a familiar face, or at least someone who seems less sick than the rest. He approaches them. "Excuse me, sir. Have you seen 3 men dressed like me here? Do you know where they went?" The man's cheeks bellow out, but he manages to keep his guts in check. "Oh, outside, I think," he says, pointing shakily at the door. "One of them was mucking about in here, but then his friend called him outside." Tucker nods. "Thank you, sir." He then exits out the cafe door and looks around, calling out to Barker and the other agents. "Barker! Shields! Seals? I know you didn't just ditch me alone with the HP." "Any idea what this thing is?" Seals asks, unable to keep himself from instinctively recoiling in disgust from the thing in his hand. Not quite sure what just happened, he blinks and glances around at the shout. "What the... Tucker!" Seals shouts to the voice who just came out of the front of the cafe. "Tucker, you better come here quick!" he yells urgently. "Awkward," says the creature that only looks like Tucker. Seals takes a somewhat aggressive stance towards the ichor-stained person standing in front of him, seeming a little unsure what to do. "What the hell are you?" Tucker dashes over to the source of Seals' voice, only to find himself face to face with a gooey version of himself. "Seals? Barker? What happened to Shields?" Seals says, "Shields went off to the pharmacy to try and get more information. I don't even know why Barker made us leave, by the way. Something about not having clearance to stay with you." Seals gives Tucker an apologetic glance, but keeps most of his attention fixed on the doppelganger. Tucker's dirty, slime-streaked mirror says, "Sorry, I would have told you, but I lost connection. Self-preservation, you get the picture. Can we still, Tucker moves to Seals' side just in case before addressing his imperfect self. "You explain to us what just happened, and I'll consider it." Barker looks at it. Barker looks at Tucker. "Seen some weird stuff since I've come to visit Blue City, but this is just messed up." He looks at Tucker, the real Tucker. "Where's the HP? Is it done? And any idea what that thing is? And yes, Shields is in the pharmacy. I meant to go after him as soon as I finished with Seals, but this demanded some attention, as you can guess," he says, looking at it with a look somewhere between perplexed and perturbed. Tucker says, "You don't recognize her?" "Don't worry, I can hardly blame you." He leans in close and whispers something to Barker. "Our sign is going to be, in Queen Anne format, the initial of the agent who is no longer with us, the initial of the first HP, and the number of times the sign has been used, subtracted from 10. The countersign is, in the same format, the initial of where you were wounded, and that of the agent who came closest to flatlining, followed by the same number. Tell nobody. We can't afford to be infiltrated." It says, "Well, my real face is kind of gross, so I took this one. I know what I am. At least I think I do. I'm the part that doesn't feel guilty, the part that isn't sorry. I can't put up much of a fight, but I do know how to look like one of you. It's the pheromones. They make you all see things that aren't really there." It looks down at itself. "Why can't I wake up? Is it because we haven't seen the flower? Seals furrows his brow in confusion, his aggressive stance shifting to a more neutral one as his angry look softens to a hint of sympathy. He just looks at the doppelganger, appearing willing to listen to whatever else it might have to say. But Tucker shakes his head. Yes and no. Unless something extreme happens, you're going to be asleep for a while. The dream might end, or change, but it's actually really hard to wake yourself up. Don't you remember? That said, finding the flower might constitute something extreme, and it's not like we have any prior engagements. He turns to Barker. What time is it? Barker's watch has attained the 6th interval, vibrating all the more desperately.
At least one agent must document the exhibit. Agent Shields, you have been granted one restricted access pass in the form of an invitation sealed in amber wax. No word as to where this exhibit is. I'm sure you know where to start looking.
Agent Seals, due to the nature of your recent and unfortunate exposure, you've been selected for extended observation.
Since you have already signed all the appropriate forms, we can begin testing immediately.
Please try to document any abnormal experiences, side effects, and adverse symptoms for the duration of your immersion
In Blue City.
You will be unable to eject unless your vital signs or stress indicators exceed your adjusted mission safety parameters.
At a predetermined time, you will be automatically ejected.
As per your contract, a hazard bonus has been added to your monthly stipend.
And an additional day of vacation has been granted. Agent Tucker,
Continue interviewing the HP and keep it safe.
We're getting word that the natives want her. You have to get her to that room.
She must show us the exhibit.
do not allow other agents to view the exhibit or it may cause permanent psychological damage.
Giles Corey.
Bring back proof of the dead agent.
Shields enters the alleyway behind the cafe, having heard at least a little of the commotion that happened back there. He quickly takes in the scene, particularly the two Tuckers. After what he has already seen of Blue City, he manages to take it in stride, figuring this won't be the weirdest thing he sees on the mission. I'd ask if I missed anything, but I think the answer is obvious. Why are you covered in goo? And in two places? He asks both Tuckers.
Oh, hi, Tucker's copy says to Shields. Yeah, I copied him trying to get away. He's obviously the real, him. No point in lying. Best I stay this way for now. I'm very ugly on the inside. Barker's watch pulses as it reaches a 7th and 8th interval in rapid succession. The hand has now crossed a quarter of the watch face, what on a normal watch would be the 3 o'clock position. Sympathy obvious in his eyes now as he regards the doppelganger, Seals says, Actually, I'm not really sure what we want from you. He glances nervously at the other agents, hesitating before he says to the creature, We're probably just as in the dark as you are. I don't even know what happens if we do what we were sent here to do. Clearly uncomfortable now, he puts his hands in his pockets and looks at the other agents for guidance. I've probably said too much already, he thinks to himself, but this hostile personality isn't very hostile. Seems like she'd be willing to cooperate if we were to try to help her. Chaffer enters the cafe, hoping to locate the other agents. He scans the derelict patrons. Crushing his cigarette in an ashtray, he moves cautiously into the cafe, painfully aware that time is slipping away from him. Patrons are ill, putting their heads on tables, now pushing away their food or getting up to empty their plates into the trash can. A server walks by holding her stomach. A pale, sweaty man in a green bow tie at a small table near the front door points Chaffer outside. Everybody else went that way, out and to the right. Some kind of scuffle or something, it sounded like. Chaffer follows the man's directions and steps outside to find himself in the rear alley. Tucker shoots a glare at Seals, and with Chaffer back, he gives a brief explanation, sure to name-drop Hermetia in order to clue Chaffer in. The mission parameters are now to take Hermetia to the Flower. The Flower is in a secret room with a bottomless pit. The city's residents may become hostile to Hermetia. If this happens, we are to protect her. Does anyone else know about the Flower or where it may be located? He turns to Chaffer. How did the operation go? Chaffer blanches. So Hermietta is not our target any longer. He stubs a cigarette in his mouth. No bueno, he says. I've sicked the Domingos on her. I'm expected back at their home in less than 2 hours from now. They promised that they'd deliver Hermietta if I showed them how the Lacuna device works. He shakes his head and spits on the dirty street. They killed an agent and left him rotting in their bedroom closet. Control wants evidence. I need a camera or something. How does one acquire evidence in a dream? The Domingos are evil, wicked people. Perhaps I should use the device on them. They're very dangerous, I might add. Tucker curses reflexively. Motherfucker. You taught them how to use the device? I have no idea how to collect evidence. I mean, you've been doing this as long as I have. Let's figure out how to document things, get to the exhibit, and then we can worry about the Domingos. But keep an eye out for them. They might attempt to use the device on Hermetia or one of us. Now, can anyone tell me anything about the Flower or the exhibit? Are they the same thing? Correction, says Chaffer. I have not shown them the device. I am unsure if they are aware of the fact that I am an agent. They saw me standing with you all and made a very logical assumption. They inquired about the device and offered to bring me Hermetia in exchange for the device. I had no intention of actually showing them the process. I hope to unleash the rest of you on them, subdue them, and get rid of the HP. I assure you that I'm not as stupid as I look. I would never reveal something as damaging to a denizen of the Blue City. Not without Control's approval. Thank God for small favors, Tucker says. Chaffer pauses. I need to know why and how things changed vis-a-vis our HP. Why are we now protecting her? Tucker says, if you recall, we were given an objective. Upon completion of this objective, we were given a new one, to protect Hermetia and aid her in reaching the exhibit. Payphone's over there. Small favors indeed, says Chaffer. I wasn't aware of this additional directive. I must have missed Control's memorandum. Be that as it may, I trust that your information is sound, Tucker, and I'll do whatever it takes to carry out orders. With that said, we best keep an eye out for the Domingos. I will call Control and ask for clarification regarding the Domingos and the murdered agent. Visibly nonplussed, Chaffer snatches the phone and begins dialing frantically. He's relieved when he successfully makes contact. The line is open. The voice on the line says,
Agent Chaffer, excellent work at the Domingos. Control does not advise you terminate or otherwise harm any personality, especially ones that appear in multiple missions. Your safety comes first. If possible, avoid or disable the Domingos. If it becomes a matter of life or death, then you may terminate them with extreme prejudice. Bringing any personal items from the agent's body would be enough to detect their psychic signature. A relatively intact item like sunglasses, a shoe, a Lacuna device, or a large body part would be especially helpful. Between us, Agent, if we have a loose Lacuna device out there, we're in big trouble. Ensure the Domingos are not in possession of one or more Lacuna devices. If you verify the presence of a Lacuna device in their possession, you may personally request a senior agent for assistance. Do so only as a last resort. Never make such requests lightly. Control is watching you very closely, Agent.
Chaffer says, I wish to requisition a sidearm in the event that I must defend myself. I am to reconvene with the Domingos in less than 2 hours. I will do what I can to determine whether or not they have appropriated a Lacuna device. In the event that they become hostile, I would like to have the ability to defend myself. Tucker adds, ask them how to document things. They'll understand. We also would like to know the protocol for proper documentation, says Chaffer. The voice on the line becomes quiet and personal.
You have been granted temporary deep blue clearance. This will be revoked at the end of the mission. Documenting events requires the agent to pay attention during an event, gathering as much visual and audio information as possible for analysis. If the agent is distracted or leaves before the event is over, vital intelligence may be lost and the agent may be penalized. If a writer is available, they may create a written description that can be delivered to Beta for translation via the waiting room. A second requisition must be made to the weapon.
The agent listens to the phone for a beat, then speaks into the receiver. Then here's my formal request for a 9mm Luger, says Chaffer.
Due to the recent changes in your mission scope, the weapon has been made readily available, Agent Chaffer. The next time you reach for a cigarette, be sure to check whether the safety's on.
Barker has been standing aside with his hands in his pockets, his sunglasses still veiling his response and reaction, taking the whole situation in. He shakes his head and spits onto the ground dismissively. Domingos is bad news. And they killed an agent? Any idea who? Blast, I suppose it doesn't matter. He looks down and off to the side thoughtfully. So we're to protect the HP. He takes a deep breath and sighs it out, rubbing his forehead slightly as if trying to coax a solution out before putting his hand back in his pocket. Shields, what did you find at the pharmacy? We need everything we can get on stall right now. Anything to lead us to this flower.
Shields is conspicuously quiet.
Seals smirks a bit in response to Tucker's query about documentation, looking over at him. You too, eh? Tucker nods and then adds, Hermietta can hear, you know. Just throwing that out there. Right. Gotcha, Seals says, his tone a little subdued. He falls silent, looking vaguely frustrated. The duplicate Tucker shifts from one foot to the other. Yeah, I can hear. Not offended, though. Sounds like these HPs are serious business. Considering what I can do, I guess I'm an HP too. Like I said, it's not exactly pretty under this disguise. If HPs are so dangerous, what do you normally do with them? What's this device you keep talking about? It asks. Passerbys wander past the alleyway. Some sick, some healthy, all heading in the same direction with a look of determination on their faces. Barker's watch has reached the 9th interval. The sky has a slightly yellowish tinge, amber light illuminating the streets and the alleyway. Your assistance is much appreciated, says Chaffer, sliding a hand into his pocket and feeling a surge of relief when it encounters the Luger. He hangs up the phone and turns to the rest of the crew. Is this Agent Tucker or someone else? What the hell is going on here? Says Chaffer. This is Hermietta Stahl, who we are supposed to protect now, Seals says to Chaffer, gesturing to the doppelganger. She took on this disguise because she isn't too fond of her real appearance. He glances nervously at Stahl for a minute, looking as though he wants to ask something, but then gives a sidelong look to Tucker and just falls silent again. Nonplussed once again, Chaffer says to the real Tucker, This grows stranger and stranger by the minute. Lighting yet another cigarette, the sallow agent says, Well, I have my directives. I've got to move heaven and earth to see to it that the Domingos do not remain in possession of the dead agent's device. It would be a real help if another agent could accompany me, but I understand if manpower needs to be concentrated on ferrying Miss Stahl to safety. Chaffer eyeballs the doppelganger and shakes his head. The copy catches the wayward glance from Seals. What were you going to ask? Nothing important, Seals says to Stahl, trying to sound blasé about it. He says to the group, Dang, we should have thought to ask Control where to find this exhibit. Should we find another phone to ask, or does anyone have any leads on where it might be? He gives a nod to Chaffer, saying, I'm willing to come along, although it might be kind of out of my league, this being my first mission and all. Just give me enough guidance that I don't screw it up, and it should be fine, I guess.
Agent Shields indicates that there's an event of some sort at the Botanical Garden.
Chaffer says, You're about as well briefed as the rest of us, Agent Seals. If I've learned one thing thus far, it is this. Learn as you go. If you want to place a call into Control and requisition a sidearm, that would be helpful. Otherwise, I think I could use you as part of a ruse. I plan to bring you or some other agent to the Domingo estate so that you can show them how to use a Lacuna device. As soon as they reveal whether or not they have the dead agent's device, we can take appropriate measures to retrieve it. I want to emphasize that we are in no way authorized to reveal anything about the application of the device. We're merely there to retrieve it. I don't want to injure them if possible, but we may not have any choice. Superior should dissuade the Domingos from doing anything stupid. I hope. Anyway. All right, here's to hoping the plan works, Seal says with a nod. He looks at the rest of the agents present. Anyone object to me going with Chaffer, or does it sound good? Tucker nods. It's a good plan, and Chaffer's solid. You two can handle it. Just subdue them if you must. Don't kill them. I have a feeling about them. I trust that Barker, Shields, and I can handle the primary directive. I'd really rather not have Domingo wildcards wandering about with the gear and ability to, well, you know. Good luck and Godspeed. Not that you two will need it. Give us a call when you're done or show up at the gardens. I don't want anyone left behind this time. He wheels about, turning to face the remaining agents and his goo-covered spitting image. Barker, Shields, our task is relatively simple. We go to the gardens, and we bring Hermietta to the exhibit. I'm sure it'll get more complex, but that's all we know for the moment. Unless anyone has anything else to share, let's do this. Seal says, All right then, I'm going to get a revolver. He proceeds out to the city streets. Barker nods. Let's go. Tucker wordlessly begins to walk off, raising 2 fingers to the agent and gesturing forward, a sign to follow him. With any luck, he will shortly arrive at the Botanical Gardens.
Shields follows.
Although their migration seems haphazard, the majority of personalities on the street are heading for the zoo. A small minority are searching for the hospital, though nobody has the faintest idea where it is. At that exact moment, Barker alone is treated to an impromptu gathering of belly dancers and snake charmers outside on the cafe's front patio, dancing between tables and across the entryway, keeping a few feet away from the dead squirrel. As the agent rounds the corner, the group drop their flutes and finger cymbals to writhe on the floor, moaning words in an unknown, possibly non-existent language. Although there are baskets set in front of the snake charmers, the cobras are nowhere to be seen. Some of the baskets are lidless, though their contents remain shadowed from this vantage point. He does dip his sunglasses down along his nose, though, to get a better look at them, as he, quickened now, continues his pace behind the others.
Greetings, junior agents. So, what would you do if you suddenly found yourself in Blue City? Just go with your first impression. It's not like anyone is closely monitoring you, and it's ridiculous to think that your answer could have any effect on whether some clandestine agency is just waiting in the wings to text omitted anyone, especially you, to be recruited into this shadowy agency for any purpose, nefarious or otherwise. Of course, this is a completely fictional scenario we're talking about, because if I was really going to turn you into a mystery agent, we'd have to erase your memory first. And even people who think that might be a good idea might not feel the same way after, well, you know, you can't remember why you ever thought this was a good idea to begin with. Not to jump off topic, but this week's sponsor is the Frog Mage. The Frog Mage provides mystical memes straight from the pond. It's not easy being, well, the Frog Mage, so please like, follow, donate, and give them some swamp-charged mana while you're at it. You can find the Frog Mage under a lily pad near you. I don't know if that's actually true or not. However, on Instagram, it's the_frog_mage. On Facebook, it's the Frog Mage, all one word. Donate to the Frog Mage on Ko-fi. That's ko-fi.com/notsad. Get all the feels by decking yourself out in Frog Mage magic items on redbubble.com. Just look for the Frog Mage or the Not Sad store by Emobot9000. And before you hop off, remember, junior agents, who I am definitely not preparing for your new life as an amnesiac secret agent in a sci-fi, fantasy, noir, horror mystery thriller. You can support Lacuna's Slow Burn and other projects on Patreon. Join us as we expand our influence over the unsuspecting masses. You'll get access to all my classified materials, and a bunch of stuff I made up. Because let's be honest, it's all the same thing, really. Discover things the public just isn't ready to know. Experience the thrill of fictionally endangering yourself on a daily basis. Enjoy a constant state of paranoia with none of the calories. Get bonuses, exclusive materials, early releases, live broadcasts, and more at patreon.com/DonFathom. That's DonFathom. We're on social stuff too. Check it all out. We're Midnight Police on YouTube, TikTok, and X. We also have a Facebook group with the same name. We're on Threads too, though we're not sure what it really does yet. On Instagram, we are The Midnight Police. That is The Midnight Police. Get it right. You've been warned. This week's episode was written by me, Don Fathom, Matt Kimmel, Ian Bloom, and entities working under the pseudonyms Agent Chaffer, aka Older Cloud, Agent Seals, and Agent Shields. Today's episode was read by Don Fathom, Matt Kimmel, Ian Bloom, Other Don, and Treemac. Production, editing, music, sound effects, pretty much everything else was by me, Don Fathom. I also remixed a few public domain songs, which sooner or later will make it into the show notes. All content from Lacuna Part 1 second attempt is copyright Memento Mori Theatrics, all rights reserved and whatnot. This podcast is released under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 license. Quick review, agents, that means you can copy and distribute Lacuna Slow Burn under the following conditions. Refrain from changing it or using it for commercial purposes, and give us appropriate credit. Otherwise, we'll send the Spider-Man after you, or something even worse. Lawyers. That's all for this week, junior agents. Seriously, just relax. You definitely won't see us before next week. And when you do, it won't be in person. We don't have a suit your size, a blue tie, sunglasses, or a pack of smokes just waiting for someone like you to come along and text omitted. Because if we did, it would already be too late. So don't worry. Just go to sleep. And when you wake up tomorrow, you'll realize that it was all just a dream. All of it. Every last bit. Everything you ever thought you were was just a dream. Just a dream. Just a dream. Just a dream.